You want to know where I am? I'll tell you where I am, but you may not be too happy. In fact, you'll be downright jealous. I took it upon myself to get out amongst the people of America, to find out what they think about monster trucks on TNN. And as fate would have it, and fortunately for me, but I'll be coming from here. You guys will be in the booth. Have a good show. I'll talk to you in a little bit from Tampa Bay.
Dan, it's great to see you're enjoying life. We are in San Antonio, Texas at the Alamodome. This place is going to be rocking tonight with monster truck action. Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Hogwood along with Scott Douglas. And, Scott, after a couple of weeks in Seattle, we got interesting stories here in our point standings.
Well, Gravedigger is taking the lead off that awesome performance in Seattle as they battle for their share of that $100,000 Pace Motorsports point fund. Going to be interesting to see if Barefoot, Monster Patrol, some of these others can make a move on this huge round Chicago-style course.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun here in San Antonio tonight at the Alamodome. Love this course here. You're going to love the monster truck action, and we got it all for you on TNN Motor Madness Monster Jam. Well, we're in beautiful San Antonio, Texas. There's the Riverwalk. What a great and scenic place this is. Home of the Alamo. And, of course, the home of the Alamodome. And let me tell you something. It is jam-packed here tonight. We have, Scott, a different type of course tonight.
It's going to be one of the longest courses that we'll see all year. This is the Chicago style, or if you prefer the kind of a layman's term, round racing. And let's take a look at it. You'll see they'll chase each other, as I'm doing here with the telestrator. In essence, each lane has to make a complete lap. They'll finish where they start. Whoever makes the lap fastest wins the race.
You are far more coordinated than I could ever be to draw two lines that way. Hey, Gunslinger's getting ready to roll off against KRUNCH.
Scott Stevens out of Spring, Texas, so he's got a lot of fans here at the Alamodome. But I'm going to tell you what, when he lines up against Scott Hartsock out of Oldsmar, Florida, and the Gunslinger, he's taking on probably the hottest new Ford to come on the scene in a long time.
Well, as you see, they have been given the start, and Gunslinger is rolling.
These turns are going to be tough. You've got to be able to keep momentum and then really hit these cars hard.
You can really tell that the horsepower, is, as it always is with these monster trucks, is a big factor. Gunslinger looked like he's taking that turn pretty good.
Good enough to get a win, no doubt about it. And, hey, a little bit of that front wheel up in the air at the end, but it's going to put him into the second round. KRUNCH with a problem, and I don't know what happened to Scott Stevens, but he obviously was unable to complete the course.
And as good as Gunslinger's running his Daffel, he would have been able to take him anyway. Gunslinger with a great run, as you said. They're getting that front wheel up in the air just a little bit.
They're going to be able to use their horsepower on this track, and that's where we want to watch a couple of the big Hemis we'll be seeing in terms of SAMSON and also Barefoot a little bit later. They've got a lot of horsepower. Still got to make the tight turns, though.
Little Tiger going up against Carolina Crusher. Gary Porter out of Wadesboro, North Carolina. He definitely would be the favorite here. Little Tiger, Brian Barthel. He is the underdog.
Well, when you're talking about Gary Porter, Mike, you're talking about one of the all-time legends in this sport. He's been one of the greats year in and year out. His rivalry with Dennis Anderson and Gravedigger is legendary. He's taken an upstart on here in Brian Barthel and Little Tiger. Right now, Barthel would love to put Carolina Crusher on this trailer.
Oh, there's a... Whoa! He really did a great save there, but that's going to hurt Crusher.
That cost him big time, but I'll tell you, you mentioned it, Mike, a great piece of driving, but there we get it, the upset. Little Tiger knocks him off because of that miscue. I'm going to tell you, though, Porter's happy. He's still got his truck in one piece. He almost went over.
We'll take a look at the finish again. Carolina Crusher with some problems. Little Tiger, Brian Barthel out of Coon Rapids, Minnesota, comes away with an upset win here early in our monster truck action. Look at this crowd, Scott. It's incredible, isn't it?
53,877 on hand in the Alamodome, and they're rocking tonight.
Yeah, they are. We got a lot more monster truck action coming your way here on Monster Jam on TNN. Mike Hogwood, Scott Douglas, welcoming you back to San Antonio on the Alamodome. What's that all about? Let's take a look at Dan Patrick's hauler. I think you'll be amazed.
Okay, welcome to the Samson hauler. Here's what we got. This is the shop area. We do all of our repairs, or I do all the repairs in between rounds or in between shows, actually. When we're traveling with the truck and the trailer, I mean, I can come in here and work, do anything I want. You'll see where I've fixed a generator for a distributor, and we stock all of our broken parts here, so when we get back, we're pretty much set to go. The one thing we definitely have that's very important when we travel like we do is a full shower. This isn't a camper shower. This is 150 gallons of pure enjoyment. The truck sits here. Underneath the truck is storage. A lot of the heavy parts go underneath. And you'll see the small tires. That is the tires that it is transported on. And it sets up here. Then the big tires, which you see on the truck when we race it, 2 go on the bottom. Then there's an elevator that takes them to the ceiling. And then there's the other 2 go underneath. So it's all packed in real tight. What's different from this trailer than your conventional cup trailers and your cherry trailers, this is a full-blown accommodating for living on the road. Actually has a 30-foot lounge living area, has a king-size bed. One thing that isn't in here that normally is in here, it has a home theater, satellite TV. You'll think, well, that's pretty plush living, but when you're in here 320 days a year, it's home, but it's still not home.
I'll tell you, that Dan Patrick is something. That's a great hauler.
Amazing, and he's got to have it that way. You know, you mentioned 320 days a year on the road, and that may be just an estimate that's a little low. He is constantly gone, but he's constantly performing well. We're going to see him in a minute. Right now, though, look at REPTOID. Isn't that a great-looking truck?
I love REPTOID, the way it looks. There, Jim Jack is ready to go, and he's going to be battling against Barefoot, and our old friend Todd Frolic is back behind the wheel.
Yeah, he had a great run in Houston a couple of weeks ago. We're going to see him back in action tonight, and we've always talked about the power of Barefoot, that huge Keith Black Hemi engine.
And Barefoot gets off to a great start and negotiates that turn pretty good. It is really tough when you have that much power to get woed down enough to make that turn.
Huge early lead for Barefoot, but he's losing it. He's up on 2 wheels, trying to keep it straight. Big problems for Barefoot. Something's gone. Something is absolutely broken. He had the race won. REPTOID has still not finished the course. Jim Jack, if he can get back on the course and come around and finish it, would win the race. Frolic did not cross the finish line. This is crazy.
This course really wears and tears on these monster trucks.
It's going to be tough on equipment all night, but, you know, they still haven't stopped the clock on that race because there's what happened. Jim Jack will actually finish the course and win the race.
Did not get slowed down enough, tried too hard to make that turn, and
there he comes. REPTOID's going to get the win. I don't think I've ever seen a race quite like that. Jim Jack goes to the next round. Wow.
Not what you'd call a fast time, but REPTOID. Boy, I love the way this truck looks. REPTOID moves on.
You know, you're talking about side-by-side or bracket-style eliminations. Doesn't matter what the time is. It matters if you win or not. Well, there's our buddy Dan Patrick back in SAMSON.
Yeah, going against CYBORG, Jack Coburna.
Coburna will be coming out of Tulia, Texas. And Coburna, longtime veteran, as is SAMSON. So no rookies in this race. These guys know their way around the course.
Dan Patrick, a 20-year veteran of monster truck racing. Jack Coburna's been in the business for 14 years, so these guys, as you say, do know what they're doing.
SAMSON, another truck with all that horsepower from the Keith Black Hemi engine, 572 cubic inches, and he can put horsepower to the ground. Trouble with the turns, though, and that's going to be a critical portion of this race.
Some of these trucks seem to have so much horsepower and get going so hard down that straightaway that they just can't get slowed down enough to make that turn smooth.
You hit it because CYBORG's given away a whole bunch of horsepower here, but he cornered better and almost pulled the upset. Nonetheless, give the win to SAMSON. Dan Patrick moves into the second round.
SAMSON moves on. There's Monster Patrol. Paul Schaefer will be handling the wheel duties today.
His opponent's one of the neat stories on the circuit, John Seesock. We're going to have a great feature on John coming up later in the show. Right now, though, he wants that 96 Ford F-250 to knock off the big block Chevrolet power of Monster Patrol.
It's not going to be easy. These kind of courses, Monster Patrol always seems to run well on.
Great combination. He does have makes a lot of horsepower, got the big engine, but this truck really handles well. Watch Schaefer in the corners, although Seesock's putting on a good run right now.
Seesock, a really determined effort, but Monster Patrol, I would have to say one of the favorites in this competition. And Monster Patrol is able to pull it off and pull away with the win.
Ended up winning it by about 3 or 4 truck lengths, but I'll tell you, a pretty good run there for John Seesock and Sudden Impact. There's the margin of victory as Monster Patrol crosses that yellow finish line pole. You know, you'll be able to see both Monster Patrol and Sudden Impact at the Hartford Civic Center tomorrow night and Sunday.
And here's Gravedigger Dennis Anderson, always a favorite everywhere we go, going against Eradicator and Andy Slifko. He's got his work cut out for him.
Newcomer pretty much in the business in Slifko and Eradicator. He has to go up against the legend, the world's most popular monster truck, Dennis Anderson, the original behind the wheel of the Gravedigger, another truck that loves turning courses. You can see how well he gets through the turn.
I was going to say, that first turn, he really got through it. Up and over that line of cars, and Gravedigger is motoring here.
Almost slipped off the course, but you can see how far ahead he is. Dennis Anderson with a truly dominant performance. And he kind of gives it a little classic Dennis Anderson finish. You never know where the Gravedigger's going to go when Anderson's behind the wheel.
And can you hear that crowd going crazy over the Gravedigger? What a run by Dennis Anderson.
Let's watch it right here. You can see him flying, and look how he nosedives the truck. And then as it kicks back up, Dennis is just trying to gain control at this point.
Boy, that got the crowd here stirred up, let me tell you. Look at this. All of them really applauding, and as you can see the flags, they love Gravedigger here in Texas.
That skull and crossbones going everywhere. Well, you know, there's going to be some great monster truck action as we get to the second round. Gunslinger Little Tiger will be a great matchup, and Reptoid and Samson will be going head-to-head after those first-round victories. Of course, Reptoid, a surprise because Barefoot actually broke.
And we have Monster Patrol and Gravedigger. That is a huge showdown here after round one. We look forward to that coming up here on Monster Jam.
You know, it's always great to see the Monsters here on TNN. You can see them live tomorrow and Sunday at the Gund Arena in Cleveland.
And coming up next, got some pro stadium trucks. You want to hang around. This is going to be fun here on Monster Jam.
So, you've got an older model.
Flipping the throttle means that you nail the gas pedal on your vehicle real fast to try to pull out just to get that instant burst of power. And that's why we go to blurping the throttle.
Well, honestly, I'm really new at this.
We come into a problem where we have to, such a term called blurp the throttle. It's actually called coming out of a rollover situation. You might be halfway into the throttle. You might have to take your foot and put it all the way into the floor.
Blurping is a new phrase to me. When we fly through the air, you'll hear us rasp the throttle a few times. We call that rhythm, trying to keep the motor cleaned out. So when we touch off, you know, there's no loaded up fuel in it. She's ready to power her way out of any situation that you're in. Yeah, I haven't figured that one out yet myself.
And you turn too sharp, the truck's going to want to come up on you, and you burp the throttle. You give it some more power so those tires will dig in and straighten you back around. So actually, if you hit the brake, you're just going to go over, and that's not good.
So don't feel upset about that.
I understand.
Sudden Impact, a fitting name for a monster truck. Sudden Impact should also be the medical moniker for driver John Seesock.
Yeah, back in November, I came down with a disease called Bell's palsy.
This sudden impact stopped Scott in his tracks.
What it did was made my left side, my body paralyzed. Most of it, I'm a lot better now, but my face is still kind of messed up. But it'll get better. It's going to take a while. It's about a year for it to fully heal.
His days of taking things for granted quickly ended.
Part of my therapy was trying to blink my eye, trying to raise my eyebrows, things that people do constantly and I couldn't do.
When the act of blinking becomes a treasure, you can imagine how much family and fans mean to John Seesock now.
It's hard to believe something like this would make you feel this way. It really humbled me a lot, made me realize that I do have a lot of friends and fans and people that do care and love me. And
with weekly medical bills totaling over $300, Christmas was looking mighty slim at the Seesock households until the other drivers stepped up.
And the support of the fellow monster truck racers, competitors that we have, those guys came together and helped me out and helped give a Christmas to my family because of the medical bills and stuff. And I can never thank them guys enough and the fans.
John's face, weakened by disease, still tells the story.
It's hard to believe people actually do care that much about us. And, you know, we're out here having a good time and doing our job, but it's more than just a job. It's a family. Can't put it in words. You know, it's hard to believe that people do care that much about us just because we drive a truck.
great to see John Seesock doing so well.
I'll tell you, if that doesn't make you stand up and cheer when you see sudden impact come on the track, you better check the ticker. I mean, what a great story and a great young man.
Gunslinger on the track now. Scott Hartsook, he is going against Little Tiger, and Brian Barthel pulled off that big upset in round one, and they're off here in round two. Gunslinger is going to be tough to beat.
Well, he's sure got plenty of motivation. Gunslinger not only trying to get up in the points for his share of that $100,000 Pace Motorsports Championship point fund, but it's his son's birthday. He really wants his son to enjoy seeing his dad get the big trophy, and look at him hit the hammer.
Yeah, look at that hang time. Are you kidding me?
Great run.
Boy, Gunslinger hammered it, and for that son's birthday party tomorrow night, might be a good one. He's looking good so far.
Boy, you could see, you talked about the hang time, and Little Tiger hung with him, but Gunslinger is the winner. Hey, you know, great monster truck action coming up live tomorrow at Dallas's Reunion Arena and at the Coliseum in Charlotte. And Supercross fans, remember, listen to the live webcast at pacesupercross.com, 10:30 every Saturday night.
We got more monster trucks on the way here on TNN. Got coming up here, SAMSON against REPTOID.
This ought to be a dandy race. Dan Patrick, of course, as we've talked about throughout the show, with all that horsepower. Jim Jack and REPTOID, you'll remember, won in the first round only because of the problems that the Barefoot faced. So we'll see if REPTOID now is able to get things going and have a good run. Dan Patrick was strong and solid. Let's see if SAMSON is able to move on into the semifinals.
Earlier in our show, you saw the feature on Dan Patrick and how he spends almost the entire year on the road living out of that hauler. He is a great mechanic as well as a pretty good monster truck driver.
He's a true monster truck professional. Jim Jack out of Florida has the REPTOID going pretty good, but watch the horsepower now from SAMSON up and over, and Dan Patrick records the victory over a game Jim Jack. REPTOID was in the race until the final turn.
Now, we watch it again. SAMSON and Dan Patrick, that horsepower just too much. Now, Paul Schaefer and Monster Patrol, can he pull off the upset? Here's our favorite, Dennis Anderson and Gravedigger.
Boy, this ought to be a absolute main event heavyweight showdown right here between two of the greats, Dennis Anderson, Gravedigger, Paul Schaefer, Monster Patrol. Gravedigger explodes off the line. Schaefer now just gets going.
We've talked about how well Gravedigger handles the turns on these type of courses. Up in the air.
Coming around, it's all Gravedigger. Dennis Anderson in control. Now Schaefer will try to finish the course at this point. As Paul comes around, he finishes the course. Anderson locks him up, and we get word from the U.S. Hot Rod officials. Gravedigger has been disqualified for leaving too early. He red-lighted, and Monster Patrol will go to the semifinals. Digger's done.
Big upset here. Gravedigger looked so strong, as you saw, but he jumped the start.
Boy, there it is. You can see he just left the block too early. Dennis Anderson is always sitting on ready. That time he was too ready. So you can see who's advancing.
Gunslinger and SAMSON have moved on, and Monster Patrol has upset Gravedigger.
Those three will make the final four, along with the fastest qualifier from the second round. Ought to be some great semifinal action. Well, right now we want to talk a little bit about CYBORG. Jack Caberna with a unique situation, trying to get power to the rear of CYBORG. Let's see how it works.
Well, I come up with the two-wheel drive because when you're on the line, you leave off the line, most of your weight transfers to the back of the truck. So the front tires really ain't doing nothing but just going through the air. So with this concept, with all the weight in the back, the front end's in the air, we can just scoot, and hopefully in the corners, the front end ain't pulling you sideways. You can come around the corner a lot easier. With this truck, with the motor clearing the back, we're putting all the weight right on top of the rear end, get the maximum traction we can possibly get out of it for leaving the line. When you're leaving the line, again, the traction to leave the line. And when you go into the air after you're hitting the cars and the ramps, go in the air, the concept is to keep the weight on the back so the back comes down first. Because if the front comes down first, I have no way to pull out from it. I have to wait for the back end to hit, then I can pull out and head for the next jump. The front tires, the angle of the tread, see when it's a power tire like on the back, you're catching this side of the tread with the power turning. So when you flip them around on the front, it becomes a steer tire. So instead of the tire catching the dirt catches the tire. It's a reverse action, gives you traction for cornering or just going across straight. In a lot of dirt sports, there's a two-wheel drive and a four-wheel drive class. So we were hoping actually to create another class of truck. But it's a big jump for a lot of people to take and to say, well, yeah, it's safe. But I've had it on its end. I've had it on its side. I mean, it's a very safe truck. It works very well.
Boy, real interesting from CYBORG on how he's doing it a little different than everybody else, but he's had a lot of success with it as well.
He sure has. Coming up, we got more monsters, and Spanky Spangler is back. You don't want to miss this high fall coming up. It's going to be something. At the Alamodome, and it's been a lot of fun for all of us here. The Monster Truck Action Pro Stadium Jam. We leave you with some freestyling.
Where you from, Michael?
Tipperary.
Have you ever seen monster trucks in Ireland?
No.
They're very loud.
Very loud.
Coming up right now, it is Monster Patrol and Samson.
Paul Schaefer bringing out the Monster Patrol Chevrolet against Dan Patrick's awesome Samson. These two are among the elite in Pace Motorsports Monster Jam action. They're lining up right now. The winner goes to the finals. The loser's on the trailer.
In case you missed our show last week, we were talking about Samson and Dan Patrick, what a great mechanic he is, does it all, lives out of his hauler over 300 days a year, and it's quite a contraption itself, and I love this truck.
Remember, with Gravedigger out and Barefoot already out, the winner of this race has a great chance to move up in the standings as they battle for their share of the $100,000 Pace Motorsports Monster Jam Point Fund. This is a big race, and it is tight.
Dan Patrick, a 20-year veteran, he has been in many of these kind of big races on this Chicago-style course. How about Samson?
I'll tell you what, Monster Patrol almost pulled that out on the final leap, but he comes up inches short. Watch, out of your screen, you're going to see Monster Patrol out of nowhere, but just not quite enough. Samson, consistent all the way around. Dan Patrick's in the finals.
All right, our another semifinal, it will be Reptoid against Gunslinger.
Great action coming up this weekend. Tomorrow night at the Rosemont Horizon. Also on Sunday afternoon, Monster Patrol and Samson will both be there. And you can look for trucks like Gunslinger in the Hampton Coliseum tomorrow night.
Reptoid with a pretty darn good start here.
Remember now, it's Gunslinger and Scott Hartsock, his kid's birthday, and he really wants to come up with a victory here this weekend for him. He is hitting the hammer right now. Can he put Reptoid away? Yes.
How about it? Gunslinger did it with horsepower. And remember, on this style track, you got to be able to handle all to get around that turn. But as in all monster truck action, it comes down to what's under that hood.
Scott's fired up. Go ahead and put more candles on that birthday cake because the son's going to enjoy Dad in the winner's circle.
Still to come on Monster Jam. Gunslinger looked pretty good in monster truck action, just like he's done here in San Antonio.
Scott Hartsock really making a name for himself, but he's got to do it against one of the big boys. Gravedigger in the house. Look at that race.
Gravedigger here in San Antonio, DQ'd a week ago, so he's not in our show tonight. Watch this Thrasher. Oh my, almost went over.
Great save. In the final, Gravedigger barefoot, and Barefoot out-muscles the digger machine.
If throttle sticks or whatever.
If after spending a week on the road with your sweetie, you can still stand the sight of that person, you should probably stay together.
We visit home. So we're in the hauler, 3-4 days a week. We're home for 2 days, and we're back again. So we pretty well stay all year long. We try to stay on the road all year long, and this is our business, and that's, if we're not on the road, we're not making money.
How'd you like to spend 40 weeks a year together?
We put a lot of time in together, and thank God we like each other. Because things can get very hectic. But she knows what I need, I know what she needs, and we've been doing it long enough that we kind of clicked, you know.
Jack and Rocky Caberna drive and maintain CYBORG together. From their second residence in Little Tulia, Texas, they travel the country together.
Well, the relationship started with the idea that I knew what he was doing for a business. So I had to go into the relationship with the commitment that I was ready to go on the road, too. So I did, and we do real well.
What happens when things don't go so well on the track?
I have a lot of respect for what he does out there, and I'm not in his shoes, so I can't make that call. But I can surely chew my fingernails in the process. That's my right, is to chew my nails, I guess.
Rocky may chew them down to the quick, but she and Jack are committed to racing CYBORG.
There's no set date. I'm going to go until I have no more enjoyment in the sport. And I really enjoy the racing. I love it. I mean, I eat racing, I sleep racing. I mean, I race at night when I'm sleeping.
Any advice for newlywed monster truck families?
We kind of try to outthink each other sometimes and get us in trouble, but we do pretty good.
So, well, Jack would let you drive the truck?
Only in the parking lot.
Ain't got quite that far yet. Soon, I hope. I keep trying. I keep talking and talking. It's like we need another woman driver in this sport.
Just a neat Cub Horse Championship point fun. SAMSON and Gunslinger in the final.
Dan Patrick, certainly the veteran. But remember, Scott Hartsock, the pilot of Gunslinger. Son's got a birthday. He's got all kinds of reasons to win, and he's had a great night here in San Antonio.
Every motorsports fan's dream, Ford versus Chevy in the finale, and the Chevrolet-powered SAMSON got a good start, but having trouble bogging down in the turn. It's Gunslinger.
Gunslinger in the Ford is your monster truck winner here tonight.
Just that little bobble in the turn cost Dan Patrick the victory. And looky here, gonna freestyle a little bit. Scott Hartsock is one happy monster truck driver.
Fought off a lot of stiff competition here in San Antonio at the Alamodome, and on this very difficult course, the Chicago-style course. Give Gunslinger a lot of credit. He really accomplished something with this one.
He's just having fun right now, letting the fans see him and just doing a little freestyle for him in San Antonio.
And the crowd at San Antonio really appreciative of his efforts and what he's done, and they like their monster truck action here. SAMSON, though, give him a lot of credit, Dan Patrick, and we've told you a lot about Dan and the veteran of so many years and so many monster truck wars, and gave it a good run.
This may be one of the most popular points of Pace Motorsports action when you see Pace Motorsports Monster Jam. As after the races are done, these drivers want the fans to really see the trucks in action. And in freestyle, look, they can just go do whatever they want. Sideways, tear the course up. It doesn't matter. And I'll tell you, the more these fans in San Antonio yell and keep rocking, the crazier these guys get. It's fun.
It's fun for us to sit back and watch a little freestyle.
Relaxed Dan Patrick looked in there in the wheel as he was gunning that 10,000-pound monster. Just had the wheel kind of in one hand, having a good time.
Yeah, these guys are having a lot of fun right now. They have worked hard. Both of them made it to the finals on a very difficult course. And there's your winner, Gunslinger.
That's what you really got to love about this. The $100,000 Pace Motorsports Monster Jam point fund on the line for the racing. This is all for the fans, and you can see these guys absolutely let it all hang out. And it's just going to be this way every week on Motor Madness. And when you look at the quad wars that we're building up to the championship toward the end of the year, some great pro stadium trucks. I'll tell you, every Friday night, this is the rocking place to be.
It was the place to be here.
It's really an up-and-comer. He's really running strong. I never took him for granted for a minute. The change comes a little bit. I kind of threw me off balance, but I'm not going to make excuses. You know, I knew he was going to run really hard, and I just got beat. You know, that's just the way it goes, you know, and got a long season. And the thing is, just getting in the finals, you know, I'm happy with that, you know. And so law averages usually catches up with us, you know. So it was a good show. Nobody got hurt. That's what, you know, the main thing. It was a safe show. It was good racing, and Scott flat beat me. That's all there was to it.
He's driving a Ford. I love him, but I hate him.
Come on back when you want to play.
Hey, you know, we came in here tonight, you know, like I said, we did a lot of traveling. You know, we've had problems here and there. Thanks to the guys down there at Audie's Performance Perfections down there in Sarasota. Mega Power, my wife, my mother-in-law, Dottie. It's my son's birthday tomorrow, so I'm going to dedicate this one to him. You know, I can't be there for you, Michael, but Dad took it in the Alamodome. Went out here, had Patrick in the final rounds with SAMSON. You know, he's tough. You know, he comes in here with some big old strong arms like that. But, you know, hey, it was just our night. You know, what can I say? I can't say enough for the truck. These people here, Hot Rod, TNN Motorsports, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for being here. God, I don't know what to say. I'm jacked, and I'm going to cruise on down the road.
Yeah, Scott Hartsook is fired up about what has happened here. Congratulations to him. Hey, let's go back to the beach and check in with Dan Moriarty.
Well, it's time to say goodbye from Tampa. It's been tough. It's been fun. But it's been really hard work for the most part. So long. Bye now.
Yeah, it's a tough life. Huh?
We'll make it rough on him next week, and he deserves it.
How about our Maylocks Minute here? Dan Brown had some tough times in mind games, didn't he?
Boy, he's lucky to keep it off its lid, I'll tell you what. And, hey, let's go ahead and pick up another Maylocks Minute. This is from the Stadium Lights. That's a definite Maylocks Minute. Whoa.
Fortunately, though, everybody okay. Hey, for Dan Moriarty and Scott Douglas, I'm Mike Hogwood. Thanks for being with us tonight on TNN's Motor Madness Monster Jam, and we'll see you next week.
Cool. Killer.
Let me tilt with the camera. No. Oh, yeah. There he goes. All right. Go home.